saying is nothing lasts forever.
Yes.
And so when things start to fall apart, you start to get the blame game going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's how relationships end. But it's just the nature of life.
Yeah.
You're only gonna be hot for so long.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so just think about that as an artist. Think about your business. Yo, welcome to another episode of The Real Industry Plugs. We are on season 2. Y'all stuck with us through a whole season of game, a whole season of putting y'all onto the brightest and best stars in the industry, giving y'all the business. This is literally a podcast about all things music business. And today, every songwriter out there, you're going to want to watch this. You're going to want to pay attention. You're going to want to share this with your friends. Anybody that's dreaming of being a songwriter. I'm sitting next to the man who has lived that dream 3 times over. Troy Taylor is in the building, one of the most celebrated songwriters in the industry for over the past, I don't even know how long. You see the gray in his beard, and he's been doing it since a teenager. Running the game since a teenager. Troy, man, thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, see, you talking all soft.
That was a great that intro was marvelous. Like,
thank you, brother.
Who was that?
Thank you, brother. So, Mr. Taylor, I gotta come off Mr. Taylor because everything that you've done in the industry, you know what I mean. Even now that you're doing in the industry, you know what I mean, like. It's LeBron James as just a sustained level of excellence since you were a teenager. Like, But you know what? Let's start from the beginning. Let's go back there first. You know what I mean? Let's give them a understanding of who Troy Taylor is and how it begun for you. Let's go back to when you weren't a songwriter and you were an artist. Okay. Let's start there. So tell us about 14-year-old Troy Taylor.
So 14-year-old Troy Taylor started off as just, doing high school talent shows.
Yeah.
And seeing the reaction of the girls in school, it gave me a different type of feeling. And then I was in groups. I did groups. And then graduating, I realized music is what I wanted to do as a profession. But the group thing started to fizzle out. And then I found myself being a solo artist, oddly enough, which I never imagined.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went that way. And then I did something really stupid. I signed a record deal.
Wow.
Without an attorney, though.
Oh, wow. But let me ask you this. Let me go going back to the group thing. I know this is time. I don't want to make you sound old.
Oh, I'm old.
But was it the 80s at the time? Or
yeah.
It was the 80s. Back then, the groups were the superstars, right?
Yeah, they were.
So so as now, like people are like, oh, I don't want to be in a group. But back then, you're not really breaking unless you in a group.
Yeah, it was a thing to be in.
Yeah,
for sure. But personally, it wasn't doing it for me, and it kind of got a little bit to the point where personally it was like, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
So
okay,
that's how I ended up by myself.
And so let me ask you this, because you signed to one of the most legendary labels, especially back then.
Right.
One of the most legendary labels. I got 2 questions. I'm a 2-part question. How did you get discovered by this label?
Okay, so you want the long version or short version? I mean, come on.
I got time. Okay. We in no rush.
So I worked at record stores because, my mother's telling me, you got to get a job. So I'm like, if I'm going to get a job, I might as well get a job working at some place where I could stay close to music.
Right.
So it's the record store.
That's a key right there.
So I was the kind of kid that read credits and loved. That's like an art form in itself, reading the credits, who did this, who did that. And there was this name, man, that kept popping up every single time I would read something that I liked. His name was Timmy Regisford. He was a Motown executive, A&R, remixer, mixer, and it seems like every time I would see his name, it was like on something that I really liked, and so I would just remember that name. So going back to when I signed the horrible record deal to the horrible label that was in, they asked me, who did I want to get to mix my single?
Okay.
So I remembered that name. And I didn't know if they knew him or not, but when they said, yo, get Timmy on the phone.
Wow. So they was connected at least.
Yes, they was. But I didn't know. I was New Haven, Connecticut. So upon going to that first session that I ever been to where, the big board and the engineer mixing a record, that was my first time. And I was 21 at the time. So actually I was 20. So just being there, but I had this idea. I felt like because I have a lot of music, if I bring 3 songs, but only the tracks.
Yeah.
And then play him the tracks, I'm thinking he would want to hear songs. Mm-hmm. And then I will say, I don't have the songs with me, but I can come back.
Okay.
This was all to get another meeting.
To get another meeting with Tim.
Outside of this session.
Yeah.
Because this session was,
Now, let me ask you, because you were signed to somebody at the time.
I was signed to that horrible label.
But you were still working your move.
I mean, I didn't know. This was an idea. I didn't think it would work. I didn't know if it would work. I just thought it was clever because if it goes right, I can get a meeting outside of this.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking.
Let me tell you one thing that you did that was very brilliant that most artists don't do. They see names on doors. They see, Def Jam. Mm-hmm. They see Interscope, but they never know who actually works behind those doors. Yeah. And a lot of times, the people who are making the moves, they move around. Mm-hmm. So you sign to Def Jam thinking they're going to make me the next so-and-so, but the person who actually did it is going over to another label now, or they're running their own company now. Right. And so what you did was you really put in the time to study who do I want to work with? Not what label, what person do I want to work with? Person. And that was very smart. Yeah. That was very smart.
Upon that session, he took a break. Mm-hmm. When he took a break, he had a boombox in the lounge and he was eating. And so I asked him if I can play him some more music. First of all, I said, thank you for doing this because he didn't know me. I didn't know him. And he agreed to do it. So I thanked him for it and I asked him if I can play him some more music. Yeah. So he's eating. And he said, yeah, sure. So we had cassettes then. Yeah. You had to put, he had the boombox right there. So I put the cassette in and I played 3 tracks. In the middle of the second track, he goes, tracks meaning beats.
Beats, yeah.
There weren't no music on it. Because I got to say that now because the generation tracks and
they don't
songs
understand.
And beats.
I caught it. I understood it.
So it was just the music. Yeah. So in the middle of the second one, he goes, where's the song? And so I was like, I have songs to them. He said, well, I want to hear the songs. Yeah. I was like, well, I don't have them with me, but I can come back. Yeah. And that was on a Monday. So he scheduled a meeting Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So
Did you have songs or?
I had them with me, but I wanted to see that was the mixing session.
I just want to see if you had the songs or did you have to run home and make them?
No.
You had them.
See, in the beginning of this, I said I had 3 tracks that had songs, but I figured let me play the tracks.
And I caught that part.
And if he says the songs, I have the songs, but I want to come back to play them. I get you. Because I had them, I didn't want to play them for him there because I want to come back. Right. But yes, the songs was already there, but I only played the track. Yeah. So Wednesday.
You got your meeting.
I got my meeting, came back, but this time the meeting was at Motown. Because he was a Motown executive. Yeah. So it was in his office. I come in there with a bag full of cassettes, all my music, and he literally just popped in cassettes and just went through stuff. And he gravitated towards the fact that I was a songwriter, a producer of my own music. And let me just say, I'm local. I don't know that what I'm doing is special or the right way.
Yeah, I just
think it's something that I like to do. And he pointed out that I had good song structure and all of that. So long story short of that, man, that horrible deal, he ended up buying me out of that deal. Yeah. And then signing me to Motown. And so that I did not see coming.
That's incredible.
Sure. So I got out of that horrible deal.
Yeah. Now, wait. Just running back real quick. Okay. How did they get you to sign a horrible deal? Like, what was
they didn't do it. I was young. I was ready to leave my hometown. The girl I was with wasn't going right. The groups I was in wasn't going right. I was just ready to leave and anxious. Yeah. So I tell this part of the story because I want people to know, that being anxious, rushing, it's not always a good idea to make decisions in that state of mind. And I also tell that story to let them know that somebody like me did something stupid.
Right.
Because you're going to do something stupid. You're going to make mistakes and you cannot be successful without them.
Yeah.
So I always make sure that I tell that to warn people, listen, when you feel anxious, slow down. Don't think with your anxious mind.
Yeah.
So it resulted in being a good thing. God got me out of it when I tell you only God could have done that.
Absolutely. But and I do think it still goes back to like you doing your homework.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
knowing what I wanted,
yeah,
envisioned what I wanted, and saw what I wanted. Because at that time, artist was cool, but I was looking at like Babyface.
Yeah.
Babyface is an artist who was in the deal, but he's also a producer writer for others.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to do.
Right. So you was trying to model it after Babyface.
After Babyface.
So who all was on Motown at the time?
Okay, so the group Today. Remember the group Today?
I remember the group Today.
They were a big New Jack Swing group. Actually, it was Teddy Riley's group.
Okay, got you.
And so because of the songs that I had, all the songs that I had, and mind you, a lot of my music had harmonies, a lot of harmonies. So all my songs pretty much sounded like they were groups.
Okay.
Because I had a lot of harmonies. And so Gerald Busby, who was the president at that time, who was Timmy's boss. By the way, let me just say, his name is Timmy Regisford. That was the A&R guy who got me off that label. Gerald Busby was the president. And so Timmy played Gerald some of my music. Gerald wrote down on a pad 4 songs each.
Yeah.
Because I had harmonies, they were looking at the groups that they had on the label.
To see who they could place that with.
Right. So they put 4 songs for this group, 4 songs for this group. This group was Today, and this group was Boyz II Men.
Boyz II Men.
Young Boyz II Men.
Yeah, my mama would have screamed if she was here, heard that.
Super. Wanya was 15, Sean was 16, Nate and Mike were 17. So they were super young. But I didn't know nothing about them.
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing about them until we had a meeting, and while Timmy was putting songs on the cassette, he was making a cassette for Gerald Busby to take back to LA. There was a song that Timmy played, Gerald. And at the end of the song, I told Timmy, that song is for me. That's I need that. I'm not giving that away.
Yeah.
And Timmy said, oh, okay. So he rewound the tape to get back to the beginning of that song to put another song over it.
Uh-huh.
So by the time it came time to meet the kids, when I got into the room, the conference room.
The conference room.
They were sitting around the table, and I came in and I was like, okay, so what songs did y'all like?
Yeah.
And so they all started screaming out songs, shouting out songs. And then Wanya was like, oh, there's this one song, man. I really like that a lot. I was like, what's the name of it? He said, I don't know. I don't know the name of it. And I was like, why don't you know the name of it? Can you sing it? He was like, it was something like Your Love or something like that. And I was like,
your song.
No, you weren't supposed to hear that. He's like, oh, because they caught the tail end of the song.
Yeah.
The song that Timmy put over it wasn't as long as that one. So I was like,
Timmy,
I was trying to figure out how did he hear that?
Yeah.
So it got really awkward in the room. So I was like, hey, sing something. Because I hadn't heard them sing.
Yeah.
Man, listen, 7-8 seconds of them singing a Take 6 song.
Yeah.
Take 6 being like was fresh coming out like. And as soon as they started singing, I was like, oh, whoa, hold up. Stop. You can have the song. But they were looking at me like they thought they did something wrong.
Yeah.
Because I abruptly stopped them.
Yeah.
I'm like.
Incredible.
And it was like, I was like, no, like, y'all don't have to keep singing. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, you can have the song.
Yeah.
And so they was like, well, can we finish? I was like, sure. Sure, you can finish. But that was it, man. And that song was Your Love, and it's on the Cooley Eye Harmony album. It's the last song, actually. But that's when I worked with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they came out, see, I was still working on my album at that time.
Okay.
When they came out, I went to the record store. By this time, CDs was
the thing.
Mm-hmm. To go to the record store, they're known all over the world, to open up the CD and see my name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was it. So I told Timmy, I don't think I want to be an artist.
Wow.
And he's like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure." That feeling that it gave me was enough.
Was enough. Yeah.
To be behind the scenes. I don't have to worry about being in front of people and signing autographs and being bombarded. I can still do what I want to do. If I produce you, and you bomb, but you win, I win.
You win.
But if I come out with an album and it don't do good,
it's gonna be
like
an issue.
all eggs in one basket. So I just felt like, you know what? I'll just be behind the scenes, producing, writing, and I'm good.
And I'm sure they were happy with that because you were giving them crazy records.
Not only that, they hadn't really spent a lot of money yet.
Yeah.
So, it was like catching the decision and
in the right time.
At the right time. So it was a good thing, but I was happy. And a lot of people ask me, do you think that you regret? No. Because I still got a chance to sing my backgrounds.
Yeah.
All the things that I would do as an artist, just not performing on the stage. I want to perform on the stage anyway. So
right. And I caught your Instagram series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
all of the background harmonies is crazy. Okay. So okay. Boom. So what age were you at that time when you made that decision?
22.
You were 22. So at 22, you said, okay, you know what? I'm going to be a songwriter. What was the first thing they had you do? Like after Timmy agreed to that decision, what was the first steps they took from there?
That was it. I was already producing for the acts on Motown and other places too, but I was already working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. So I have a lot of business questions.
Okay.
So as a songwriter, you made that decision to become a songwriter. Were you in a publishing deal at that time?
Yes, I was. Actually, it was Chrysalis. I did my first publishing deal at Chrysalis. That was my very first one. Me first learning what publishing is, all of that. And it was a good deal. Like back then you didn't have to have placements. All you had to do was come with songs.
Right.
You got a big
they knew
catalog.
you had the talent.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got a catalog. They'll, base that off of that. So that publishing deal funded me enough money to get, more equipment. Yeah. And I moved to New York because I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. So I moved to New York and I was able to just become a writer-producer.
At what point did you even discover a publishing deal? Like, okay, I need to go after a publishing deal. Like, how did you gain that knowledge? So
I had a partner at that time named Charles Farrar, and we were known as the Characters.
Okay.
So Charles's job was the business side. I was the music side. So, we talked about it, our attorney, we talked about, we knew that we needed a little bit more money to do what we needed to do. Yeah. And so he and I both learned about that as well, but he took more of the lead on making sure we got what we needed.
This is perfect. So you and your partner, Charles, right? Mm-hmm. Where did you meet him?
So remember that Horrible label?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I would go up to that Horrible label, Charles was actually using the phones. He would go to that label to use the phones. He didn't work there. He knew people there, but he would go up there to
use the phones,
to conduct business and just use their, fax machine, their phone and all of that stuff. And so the day that I went up there, he was actually off on the side. And there was a guy named Lyndon. Lyndon worked there. Mm-hmm. Lyndon was the one that told him about me because Lyndon saw me there and heard some of my demos. And so Lyndon got Charles, to hire me to do keyboard work.
Okay.
So I was actually going to and fro from New Haven to New York to do keyboard work for Charles.
Okay.
And I was doing it so much to the point where it was like, dude, you might as well just come here.
Yeah.
You might as well just stay here, and live here, move here. But because I was going through everything I was going through, it wasn't a bad idea. And so I ended up moving in with him and his girlfriend.
What was Charles' profession though? Like, what was he doing?
He was like a manager.
Okay, he was a manager.
Yeah.
And so you just naturally met him, and then the relationship built
from there because once he had an idea of what he wanted to do, and he was really trying to do R&B. And so
as a singer?
No. He was trying to make art. Like, he was a manager. He had artists.
Okay.
He had artists.
Okay.
And he was trying to make songs for the artists.
Yeah.
And so the type of songs he wanted to make, I knew how to do.
Right.
So when he hired me to come, he paid me, and I would just, construct the music or whatever.
Yeah.
But after a while, I was like, dude, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
And so everything was based off of his instructions. But then it was like, okay, if you're trying to do that, then you need this.
Yeah.
And then that's where everything started building.
So y'all were really building together.
Yes.
Y'all really
for sure. First 12 years of my career was with him.
Yeah, I'm always interested in business partners because one of the main questions we get on our platform is how do you find a team? How do you build a team?
Yeah.
How do you find that person? But it sounds like you found your person just organically through business. And after y'all had did enough business to where you trusted him,
Yes.
you say, okay, let's take this a step further. I see where you're trying to go. You see where I'm trying to go.
Bingo.
Let's do it together.
And we did that 12 years. So even Sweet Lady, B2K, all that was under the characters.
Under the characters.
Yep. So, and a lot of people, I don't talk about that part a lot because most people don't even ask about it.
Yeah.
You know, some people don't even go past a certain part. So I never even talk about the characters, Charles, Farrar, and all of that.
Yeah.
And then it took a while before I could talk about it because I was pissed. So I'm cool now.
Does that mean the relationship didn't end great?
It didn't end right. It wasn't good.
But a lot of times that happened. You was asking me about K-Camp earlier.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's just kind of the nature of the business.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with money, and you know what I mean, it's not easy to end well.
No.
You know what I mean? Because I think what most people don't understand is nothing lasts forever.
Yes.
And so when things start to fall apart, you start to get the blame game going. You know what I mean? And that's how relationships end. But it's just the nature of life.
Yeah.
You're only gonna be hot for so long.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so just think about that as an artist. Think about your business. Like, don't think this is gonna last forever. You're gonna be hot for so long, so you better start preparing from day one for the end of the day, for the end of that time, for the end of that run. Only people outlasting right now is Drake. I don't know how he's doing it, but
He's a different type of person, though.
yeah,
I think that Drake is comfortable being, how should I say? I think he's comfortable being out of the trend. You know, not being with the trend. I think he's comfortable being outside of the trend, being a little quirky, being a little him.
being
just himself. And I think sometimes people they're not comfortable being themselves. They want to be with the in crowd, and that makes them feel good. Drake, I've known Drake for a long time.
Okay.
And because of the trade,
connection.
Yeah. And so I just watched him, being on Degrassi and being just a different type of dude.
Yeah.
He never changed his personality.
Right.
You know what I mean? He stayed separate from everything, even being with Cash Money and Young Money.
He never tried to be like them.
No, at all. And he's always stayed in his lane. He always stayed innovative. He always did what he does, and he didn't try to do more than what he does. And he stayed consistent with it.
Yeah.